All right.
Welcome to the Ska History Hour with your hosts, Jose Rojas and myself, Daryl Rubio. Our guest today is the one and only King Steadybeat, also known as Luis Correa, who is a promoter, a record label owner, a record store owner, and a DJ, among many other titles that he carries. Luis, we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, to share your talents, stories, and to spread awareness of ska music to the world. I'm going to ask the first question, then we'll go over to Jose. You have an extensive resume in the music scene. How have you been able to survive and thrive in the music scene for over 3 decades?
When you do things that you love, there's no stopping you. There's no question. It's just do it. And you keep doing it until it kills you. And I think that's what I'm keep doing because it's what I love and there's no denying it. So it's just full force all the time. Either you go full blown or you don't go. And I've been going full blown. And I think that's where I'm at right now.
Even with all the
Nice.
different changes in music, with all the changes in for a digital format coming aboard, streaming, these types of things, you're a physical media guy. How have you survived with the whole physical media thing, releasing release after release in this business and still being able to thrive with what you do and share the love of ska to everyone?
All that is noise. It's all noise because they're not doing it for the love of music. They're doing it for the love of money. And that's the difference. They don't have enough. I do. And I have the confidence to do what I want to do without caring about anything and anyone says. That's why I keep doing what I'm doing. And that's why I persevere in what I do.
Now, how do you find the bands that you consider signing? And what do you look for when you sign a band?
Well, it's not so much that I find them, is that we find each other
Yeah, okay.
because sometimes you're in different worlds, but you're riding the same frequency. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I understand that they don't understand it because they're not riding any frequency. People ride frequencies and because we're all made of frequencies. That's basically the bottom line. And when you find people, see, like me and Daryl, we have nothing in common. Nothing. But we're riding the same frequency. And that's what brought us together. Same thing with bands. There's a lot of bands that want to work with me, and there's a lot of bands I want to. Well, there's not a lot of bands I want to work with because I'm very exclusive and I don't have a lot of time. And the bands that I do work with, I really want to put in because every band that I work with, I know that it's going to be a year or 6 months out of my life, and that's a different way of looking at things because you're putting 6 months to a year out of your life to work on a band's record, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to keep that in mind that there's no amount of money that can pay that for you. But the experience that you go through doing that and all the different, how can I say, all the different elements that go into recording a band and putting it together and making it happen from the studio to the record to the art direction and everything. Um, that's a certain part of your life that you're actually willing to commit to. And when bands approach me saying, "Hey, let's do this and this," I'm like, "You really expect me to commit 6 months to a year out of my life into your project?" And that's what some bands don't understand. So the bands that you see me working with, they understand that. And we have a certain connection because we're writing the same frequencies. And that's why not everybody's on Steady Beat. That's why I turn
Hmm.
down people. And I don't want to, but it's just that we're not in the same position. And that's basically it. So that's kind of how it works out. Bands, I connect with bands because either I like what they're doing and they like what I've been doing, and that's how it happens. But if I like what a band's doing and they don't like what I'm doing, I'm not even going to pursue it. We have to be, it takes two to tango.
Yeah, yeah.
So you and I go back to 1995. Uh,
Really?
yeah, Dawn. Remember Dawn Heiser from the Scalander up in the
Oakland.
North Bay?
Oakland.
When I was first releasing the generic Skaka CD, she mentioned you as a promoter down in the Southland, um, and that you would probably, to hit you up and see if you would be able to do the record release show, which, of course, you did. That
That's
was in,
how you knew about me by Dawn up there?
yeah, from Dawn.
Oh,
That was in August of '95 that we did that show, or you did that show for the record release at Las Palmas Theater with Rudiments,
oh that,
Meal Ticket, Real Big Fish. Um, gosh, I
yeah,
forgot.
that Las Palmas Theater was like, I was doing shows every
Yeah,
weekend, 2, 3 shows a week there. It was like grinding. That was grinding.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we go back to that different time because I used to go to your shows, like at Las Palmas. Actually, that's where I saw Sublime when you booked them first with Out of Order. I think you booked
Yeah, that
them.
was a Wednesday night.
Yeah,
I
I
was calling
saw.
somebody about that show. I'm like, dude, these guys didn't show up till like 11 o'clock at night. They're missing sound check. They didn't care. They didn't have a horn player. They didn't even do Date Rape, the song that was on the radio at the time.
Mhm. And but there was other bands of shows that I saw before I even met you there, such as Dick Dale and the Deltones that you booked with, I think Out of Order also, and the Halibits and some other
Halibut,
bands.
yeah. And it was a couple other surf bands. I forgot who they were. I remember I had to cut out early that night because I got a call because my daughter was in the hospital and she had like swallowed some of her grandmother's pills because she thought they were like M&Ms. I had to leave early that show, and then Jay called me, Jason. He's like, "Hey man, we had a power outage that night. Was there a power outage that night?
I don't remember, but you worked
Something
with
about
Jason
the amps,
Showclass a lot.
you know, I don't know, but
Yeah,
I guess it was a bad night.
yeah,
Not a bad
Wow.
night, but it was just like not good for me because I had to split.
right, right.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah. So you've been to all those shows before I actually met you, then, right?
yeah, yeah, I was a
Interesting.
fan. I was a fan of your stuff before. Yeah. Then when
Great.
I started working for you with the Steady Beat crew, um, I think my first introduction into show promotion or how to run a show was that Hawkwind show, I think.
No, no, it was Crash Worship.
Oh, was that the Neurosis
The
and
Locust.
yeah, okay.
Where you froze the beer in their
Yeah.
dry ice.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you told me to go get go get some ice, and I got dry ice because they didn't have any regular ice, and put all the beers for them on ice. And when they tried to grab them, they were breaking apart, and those guys were pretty pissed.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
I remember that.
That was a learning situation
The
there.
pre-show jitters were just like insane because stuff like that went down, and you're like, now what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
And yeah, that night was insane. With
it
Crash
was
Worship and Neurosis, you put those two bands together. Anyone who knows those bands, look them
right.
up. Just look them up. You're like, those two bands played together. Oh, also, the opening band was Man is a Bastard. That show was insane. If you guys
Yeah,
know Man is a Bastard, Neurosis, and uh, Crash Worship, I think it was Cleopatra Records put that shit together. It was
yeah.
insane. It was insane. But yeah, yeah, we did a lot of shows out of there. It was like every weekend, me and Jason were doing shows out of Las Palmas Theater, and then from there, the sound man turned out to be Mike Giangreco, who in turn was one of the promoters over at the Whiskey.
Hmm.
He was like, "You should bring your shows down to the Whiskey." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, let's do it." And then we did it, and then that turned into another era.
Yeah,
When
that's a good segue into what we're gonna talk about next. You, to me, during that time, you were the biggest promoter of different types of ska in the Southland. Because besides traditional ska, you were booking Meal Ticket and Buck-O-Nine and a bunch of other bands that weren't traditional or reggae or anything like that before anyone else was booking them. Backyard Parties and Hong Kong Cafe and everything else.
like I tell bands or everybody nowadays, I tell them, listen, it wasn't that I was doing all this by myself. I couldn't. It was like I needed bands, and you guys were the bands. So you guys were helping me out by being available for me to book you guys. So yeah, it was a two-way street as far as I was concerned. But some bands were like, "Oh, I'm glad you booked us." I'm like, "Dude, I'm glad you're available. I'm glad there's a band that I could book because, as you know, Daryl, at some point there's like every Hollywood club was calling me from Coconut Teasers, Troubadour, BB. Everybody was wanted like some ska show because ska was a big thing. You know, like, dude, slow down. And there was just like everybody was it was getting spread too thin. And that's
Hmm.
why things started getting crazy later. I mean, just things started
Yeah,
collapsing.
I remember when you
Yeah,
booked
everything started getting
Scatolites.
spread too thin, and I knew what was happening. I'm like, dude, there's not enough to go around. You can't have a ska show every weekend and be
Hmm.
successful. You could
Yeah,
have ska shows, but they're not going to be like every weekend. Like, oh look how it's a nice crowd. No, there's not enough demographic for the shows. You know what I mean?
right, right.
Simple as that.
So
It's just
besides you as being a promoter back then, you also did a lot of shows with Jason Shortbus, and Jason was mainly a punk guy. He did a lot of that stuff.
that
Um,
guy, I got to give that guy credit, man. I mean, now I looking back is like, man, he was pivotal. He was pivotal in everything I did because I mean, we went to college together. We were college buddies, right? And during college, he was running the whole punk scene in Harbor City and Pedro and everywhere else, right? And he knew what I was doing, and he was like, "Hey, man, we should do stuff together." I'm like, "Yeah, but we're in different worlds." And as we got older, I remember the one day he called me. He's like, "Hey, listen." One day, that was like maybe about weeks or months later, during he's like, "Hey, listen, there's this club in Chinatown that you could. I know you've been doing backyard parties because at that point I had been doing parties in Wilmington, Compton, backyard parties, Southgate." And he was like, "Hey, man, if you want a club, there's a club called the Hong Kong Cafe, and they only want $100 for rent, but you have to bring your own PA and your own security and your own door person. But and it's all ages, and they have a full bar. I mean, to have all ages and a full bar and to pay $100 for rent,
Mhm.
that's you don't find that now
Right.
ever anywhere." So we jumped on it. Me and Ray jumped on it, and that's where the Blackpool started blossoming. We started doing shows there monthly and then weekly, and then to the point where they started having problems because the shows just started getting out of control. Because I think they also did like after hours there. Actually, I know they did after hours because one time I forgot my snake there and I was already halfway home and I had to drive all the way back and pick up my snake. And when I was there, I looked up and I'm like, what's going on here? Like they were having a whole after hours outfit called the Family. They're having after hours. I'm like, man, I'm here for my snake. And the guy like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, man, that's a snake right there, man, idiot. I grabbed it and I was out of there. But anyways, yeah. And then they shut it down for a while. So at that point, me and Ray were looking different places and we started doing stuff at Leonardo's and and then Ray cut out. And then once that happened, yeah, that's when I started doing Las Palmas. Oh no. So then during that time, Jason called me again. He was, hey, listen, there's this place called Las Palmas in Hollywood, and they're looking for promoters to come do things. I'm like, cool. So me and him started doing shows there together. It was Short Bus and Steady Beat, and that's where the Crash Worship show happened, and a bunch of other shows. Sublime happened there. We did a lot of shows there together.
Mhm.
And the sound man there was Mike Giangreco. And then he's the one who's like, hey, man, maybe you should come down to do the show at the whiskey. But yeah, Jason, he was always the one who's like, hey, man, you should do this. You should do this. And if it wasn't for him, yeah, Jason Falk, if it wasn't for him, yeah, I don't think I'd be where I'm at right now. Yeah, he was pivotal.
Yeah.
Straight. What's up, Jason Falk? He's in Vegas now. I think he does sound for MGM or something.
Oh,
MGM.
right on.
Yeah,
There was a couple other promoters that were doing it around the same time as you. John Pannell was booking the House of Blues in Hollywood.
yeah.
Paul Tollet was booking the Troubadour at the time. Um,
98 Posse in Riverside.
oh, that's right. Exactly.
You got those
Uh,
guys, right? Ezot Showcase.
yeah, he's out at the showcase.
I remember
Exactly.
because these guys are
Hey,
like, what? You're booking that band for him? Ah.
yeah, I used to go see Voodoo and Buck O'Nine and Subhumans and everybody else down over there at the showcase.
Subhumans. Yeah, man. I got one of their albums at the shop. I was just telling somebody else about their story about the not the Subhumans. What their side band, the other side
Citizen
band.
Fish.
Citizen Fish. Yeah,
You
they
booked
played.
them, didn't you book them?
Yeah, a few times. I mean, yeah, at least once or twice. But
Mhm.
I was booking him with Jason. Jason was in
Yeah,
that vibe. It was crazy.
yeah, exactly. So
So yeah,
I started promoting shows from learning from you. So
yeah, I remember that night.
I went to the first night, my first show.
Yeah, I remember that night where I think
And
yeah, we went to
Dizzy
Riverside,
Debbie.
right?
No, it was Dizzy Debbie's. Are you
Was it?
talking about? Oh, are you talking about the first night we met?
Yeah, when I went to your
Um,
house.
yeah, we went to a show. I forgot where.
Yeah, I went to your house and I was like, hey, cool, this cool. And I think I was picking you up because we were gonna go. I think we were gonna go to Riverside to promote. And I said, hey, if you want to help me out, you come help me promote. I'm gonna go to Riverside. And you're like, yeah, I'm down. And I think I went to your house up in Montebello. And
Yep.
I remember going into your room, and then you had like a file cabinet with a bunch of my flyers. What are you doing with all these flyers here?
I
I'm
was
like, wow. Anyways, I'm like, all right, anyways, don't matter, bro. We're gonna go to where was this at? Where did we go that night? Oh, yeah, it was Riverside. And it was the 98 Posse show. And yeah, we were out there promoting, passing out flyers for, I don't know, it was a
was
couple
that at the
different.
barn?
The barn, exactly,
The
the barn.
barn. Okay.
The barn. That's when I met you, and that's where we got to know each other. And then after that, that one time, I always remember this one night where you were like, "Hey, listen, I got tickets for No Doubt,
Oh God damn.
and they're playing at the Troubadour." I'm like, "Bro, I don't want to see No Doubt at the Troubadour." And you're like, "But you know what? We can go sell those tickets, and then we can go promote in Orange County because either Real Big Fish, Aquabat, I don't know who was playing out there." And
It
you're
was
like, yeah, well, that's my end goal. Just promote over there. I said, okay, so we don't need to go. I mean, you just want to go to No Doubt to sell the tickets. Yeah, I'm gonna sell the tickets. All right, cool. So I remember, I think you picked me up. I don't know. I think I
I
drove
picked
to.
you up in the I picked you up in that Chevy Nova that had
Yeah,
that beautiful primer gray paint job
yeah,
that
man. We're
used to
cruising down
backfire.
Prospect Boulevard. It was all under control until you're like, hey, the cops are behind me. I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, you're like, but I have expired tags. I'm like, oh shit. And I have no insurance. I'm like, oh damn. And I have no license. I'm like, damn, bro, what the hell am I doing with you? And yeah. So and then you had boxes of merch because you were planning to sell it
No,
at.
no, 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 no. It was I think it was my toolbox I had. So I had
No,
to
you
carry.
had like boxes of merch of I remember because when they pulled you over and they're like, "Yay, this car's going in,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh," I even offered, "I'll drive it," and like you can't even drive it because it has no tags. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm dead. So then we ended up walking to Barney's Beanery, and I remember walking in with a box, and you had a box, and we're like, "What the hell's going on?" And I don't know what we did in there, but then after that, we walked to the Troubadour, and then I remember we ran into my friend Victor because at that point we had no car. We were like carless, right?
Yeah.
And I said, listen, we got to find a way to get home. And when we got there, we found a Victor, my friend Victor. I said, Victor, what are you doing here? He goes, oh, I forgot the No Doubts bass player's name. He's like, I'm
No,
waiting for my friend, this guy.
no.
I'll play with. I'm like, yeah, why? He's gonna get me in. I said, this show's sold out, bro. He's like, well, he's gonna get me in. I said, I don't think he's gonna get you in. He's like, well, he is. I said, well, listen, let's do this. If he doesn't get you in, I'm gonna buy you dinner, I'm gonna pay your gas, and you're gonna take me and Daryl to Orange County, and you're gonna have a good time. He's like, nah, he's gonna get me in. I said, but if not, are you down? He's like, yeah, I'm down, but I'm gonna get in. Literally, like a minute, 30 seconds later, that guy comes out for whatever reason, and he's like, hey man, you get me in? He's like, I'm sorry, I can't get you in. I looked at him, he looked at me. I'm like, I
Yep.
guess we're in Orange County. And by that time, you had sold the tickets already for like 30
Mhm.
or 40 bucks each. We're like, we got money. So we had money to pay this guy's gas and buy him dinner at Denny's because we ended up doing it because we went to that roller rink, passed out those flyers, and then went ate at Denny's later and we all
Mhm.
had a good time. He dropped me off and then he dropped you off in Montebello and it was done.
Yeah.
And it was a fun night. But yeah, then I thought, man, this Daryl guy, he can't be trusted.
Later on is when I redeemed myself, maybe. But I thought you were going to be talking about the first show that
Well,
you
Dizzy
said go on,
Debbie's.
go on your own, go ahead and book it, you know. And
You
I
gotta
booked
learn
it
the hard way sometimes.
at Dizzy
I remember
Debbie's.
I was expecting that call anyways. Hey, hey, guess what? Nah, I'm not gonna guess. I know what happened.
Yeah, I lost my ass on that slapstick show. It was like a Wednesday or something, like
Oh,
Martin Luther
Wednesday.
King's birthday or
Oh,
something.
the show.
And then I called Luis, and you came over. You bailed me out. You gave Debbie the money uh, to go do that, and yeah, I guess I had to work that off with you.
It
Um,
is what it is, man.
so you have an extensive catalog of releases. We've got some here, starting with some of the Blackpool stuff. We got Mobtown. You got the Allentons. You got your Ska-Authentic comps and the West Coast Chronicles. Your latest release that you have, I believe, or one of your latest is the cover ups
Oh yeah, yeah, that and the Stadians. You have
and
the
the
Stadians?
Stenians.
You have them?
You've also got the Debonaires you've put out. You've put out Steady 45s. You put out the Delirians. Um, you put out lots of Allenton's releases. Yes, that one I have that one somewhere. Los Agrios. So just some of the releases that you've put out.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many that you have? You got to have 40 something.
I
Um,
don't know. I'm at
including
155, so it's like
including
55
your
releases.
you got your
But
smoke and mirrors, you got your cumbia,
yeah, this
you got
yeah.
Matamosca, you got a couple Matamosca ones.
I know. I mean, it just keeps going. I don't look back at anything yet because I'm still going. I got like another record's coming out in like 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, what is that?
That should have been out in December, but things happen. Alex Santos Orchestra. It's the To me, it's like the biggest production I've done because there's a lot going on in there, and it took me a lot to kind of like put it all together. Me and Donald, it took me a lot. Like it was a lot, and it wasn't like easy because I think there was like 28 or 30 tracks on both songs. There's a lot of tracks on there, which is a lot to deal with. So it took a lot, but I think it sounds good. I know it sounds good, and it should be out in a couple of weeks. And yeah, that's the latest. And then at that point, I'm simmering because there's a couple other things that are happening, but you can't push it. You can't push it. You just gotta let it roll because if you keep pushing it, it art doesn't happen by pushing it. It happens by letting it
Right.
happen. That's
And
basically how.
they just played right at your grand
Yeah,
opening for
the
the new spot.
the grand opening of the record shop that you see behind me right there.
Yeah.
That sh-
So you've got a lot of bands that have actually either reunited or are still playing over the years, like the Allentons, Mobtown. You got a lot of these bands that are still prevalent on the scene.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
man, because they realize good music, you can't kill it. You can't, good music doesn't die, man. And if you play good
Hmm.
music, you want to keep playing it. Simple as
yeah,
that. And I just associate myself with good music. So you guys associated with me, now you know.
and all most of your production nowadays is done with um, Donald Lewis, also known as Soul Station Number One, um, who's also from Melting Pot, that owns One Take Studios in San Pedro. Um, can you tell us about that collaboration between you and Donald? How that came to fruition and how that relationship has thrived over the years?
Well, yeah, I met Donald, I think in 94, 95, through you, as a matter of fact. I remember
No, no, I
you,
met.
me and you were coming home from a party, and I was driving, and I remember you were living here in town in San Pedro,
Mhm.
and you're like, "Hey, listen, there's a party happening right there, like Santa Cruz Street or something, right?" And we went in there, right? And you were telling about this band that you were working with or talking about called Melting Pot. And we got to the party, and that's where I met Donald and a couple other his bandmates. And I'm like, all right, cool. And that was it. That was the first time I met them. And then I started working with them because at the time I was booking Sacred Grounds.
Mm,
in downtown San Pedro, right?
right.
I was booking Second Grounds. I was booking a bunch of shows. And again, they were another band that was like, oh, cool, a new band that plays a different style of music. And, I started incorporating in different shows I was booking. They, played different shows. So during that time, Donald hit me up. Didn't hit me up. He was, hey, listen, um, I've been wanting to play with the real ska band. I said, what? He was like, yeah, like a traditional ska
Traditional.
band, like a real like ska band, not like ska punk or anything, because he was already Melting Pot. So I said, listen, Melting Pot, Allentons, they might have room. He was like, yeah, man, blah blah blah. So I introduced him to Tommy, and boom, he was accepted, and he started playing with the Allentons. And during that time, he was like, yeah, I want to open up a studio sometime. Cool. So he finally got the studio, and when he got the studio, um, obviously, I helped him out in, soundproofing and furniture and equipment and shit. Yeah, as long as, he had his stuff, he started recording Melting Pot in there and doing different things. And then it got to a point where the studio was like formidable enough to like, okay, cool, we can record some bands in here. And I think one of the first bands we recorded in there was uh, the Commons. Yeah, it was the Commons. The first band that I think
Mm.
we recorded together was the Commons in there. And after that, the Commons liked the room so much that they recorded like 2 albums in there with Donald. So that was cool. So that's kind of the collaboration me and Donald had. Um, I started working with him in the studio, and I started bringing bands. As the producer, he was my engineer, and that was the team. He was my engineer, and I'm a producer, and that's what we've been doing. And now he's more or less a co-producer now because he's adding more to it. I'm like, listen, I need a horn line in here. He'll jump in and do the horn line. Okay, now, and just kind of put everything together. So yeah, so
Nice.
collaboration, and it's a brotherhood. It's a vibe. That's what we do. I mean,
Now, when you create a new album, what are the steps in creating a new album, and what is the hardest task in creating one?
well, you got to have the songs first. Have the songs, and then record the songs. Like right now, we're actually talking about the Royal Palms. There's 3 singles out, but yet there's 8 songs. There's 2 songs that didn't weren't on singles. So there's a total 8 songs. And I said, you know what? If we can get another 3 songs or 4 songs recorded, that becomes an
Mm,
album. And that's basically it. There's already songs there. We just got to add up to it, and then boom, the album comes out. That can happen in literally one weekend. We can go in there like boom, one weekend, and then the next week we mix it, and then within 2 weeks the songs are ready, and then in a month or 2 months the record's done and done. That's how
wow,
fast it happened.
wow.
But that's only if everyone's focused on that. And the
Mm,
way things are right now, everyone's doing different things because there's too many things to do. And personally, yeah, I could do that, but not everyone can do that at the same time. With you know what I'm saying? Everyone's schedule is a little different.
mm,
Like the Royal Palms, the percussionist, he's all over the world. He's touring with different bands. So like, I'm not going to use any other percussion but him. That's bottom line. Bassist, he's accessible, cool. The guitar player, again, he's touring all the time, but I'm not going to use anyone else but him. Keyboard player, same thing. He's touring all the time, but I'm not going to use anyone else but him. And that's Esteban,
mm.
and that's Roberto Sotelo, and that's Roberto Salguero Rodriguez. Those are the guys, and Thomas Ochoa. That's the Royal Palms. I'm not gonna change those guys for anything else. That's the
Mm,
sound.
mm.
So yeah, that's how it can happen. But the thing is, right now, my focus, literally for the last couple months, has been the new shop because I moved from my old shop to a new shop, and that takes a lot. It takes a lot of resources, and it's not like an 8-hour day. It starts at 7, 8 in the morning. It doesn't end till 9 or 10 at night daily.
Mm, wow.
It's not a regular job, and people are like, I would not do that. And I'm like, yeah, you would not do that because you don't own your own business, and this is the only way. This is your lifeblood, really. So that's why you do it. You do it for the
Mhm.
love of it, and you do it basically for survival.
I
Well, it's a good
see.
segue into that. Steady Beat Records, San Pedro. How did that all come about? I know we know where you're located. What type of music do you sell there? How did you start up the whole record store thing? And is that your primary duty and responsibility nowadays?
Primary duty, responsibility, yes, that is. And then I also do a couple of big um, events. One is called La Bota, which is done here at the Brewery West, and that's once a month. And the other one is not starting up is called Mama Craze Cabaret, which was going on strong, took a break, but now it's back. And that happens in Hollywood. And then a couple other, things that I DJ around town. However, the record shop is the main focus at this point. How did all the record shop happen was, I've had the label for a long time. And from 1990, I'm going to say 1995 to like 1999, that's all I did. I was just doing the label, distribution, and promoting shows. Then Napster hit around 99, and then that's when like a lot of record shops started closing down, like Tower, Music Plus, all that. They all started shutting down. So the money stream started like going down a lot for me. Like, oh, there's no more. You know, the music business was really like bad. There's no sales. Record shops are closing down. uh, Record labels were merging and firing
Hmm.
people. So even during that time, I knew people in labels that were just losing their jobs. I'm like, there's no way I could get a job at a label. And that was just like a far-fetched thought of mine. But at the same time, I'm like, what is there left to do? So at the time, I just like, you know what, maybe this is not where it's going to be for the while. So I started working for a furniture manufacturer. Just started kicking ass there. But I still was doing like shows on the side because the lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. You can't just literally walk away. I kind of tried in 2004, but I couldn't. That was back in 2007, 2008, back on my BS, like they say. But yeah, so I was working for a while, and I was basically in my back of my head, I was saving up money. I was saving up money because I wanted to do something with the label or something involved with the music, but on my own. So then the opportunity came around where at one point my brother started he started making pizzas, and um, I became unemployed, but in a good way. And I'm like, okay, great. Now there's my opportunity. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to open a restaurant slash record shop slash bar slash live performance venue slash studio in the back, um, all in one. And but there was not a lot of buildings that would facilitate that. And me and my brother talked about that, and it would be a great idea, but the timing, everything was crazy. COVID was just like still in effect. It was just weird. So, he started going hard on his pizza thing. And at that moment, I'm like, you know what? I looked in the whole bar thing and I realized, oh, if I wanted to open up a bar, it would literally take me about a year to rent a place out for a year, but not even be open. Just have it ready for the inspector to say, yeah, great. But it's all money that's just spent and not earning anything because you can't be open. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't want to deal with that. And yeah, great. You could make more money later, but that's okay. I don't need all that. I just want to like, be in a place where I can, be happy doing what I want to do and not worry about, paying rent. So a friend of mine, during that time, I was helping a friend of mine called Sonido del Valle. His name is Rene Perez. And I was helping him out in his record shop, buying a lot of new releases that he was not familiar with, but I was, and I was like, helping him build up his new vinyl section. And, we would talk. And he'd say, you know what, why don't you just open a record shop yourself? Something that I really never really thought just a record shop by itself, because I thought it needs to be a record shop, restaurant, bar, all that stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe if that it comes to that, maybe I'll just do that. So yeah, that's that was the first moment where I'm like, maybe I'll just do that, because I see how you're making it work, and I'm pretty sure I can make it work. And yeah, he kind of pushed me into that. And before you know it, within a month, I already had the place. I already had a lease signed, and then with 2 months, I already had. I was already buying collections left and right, here and there, to where by August I was ready to move in with those 20,000 records, ready to go.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, I guess this is this is my life now. That's how that started.
That's a good life to have. Let's give a shout out to your brother Jerry Alvaro, who owns LA Waterfront Pizza in Wilmington.
Yes. I mean, that guy's been with us since, your Skaka days, bro.
Yeah, yeah, him and Meatball and uh, rest in peace, Eddie. All Steady B crew.
Yeah,
Um,
Julio.
yeah,
Yeah, man, those days. I mean, I remember that. What were we in Berkeley, right? What were we doing in Berkeley with you?
we had the generic Skaka record release party
At the what club
at
was that?
Berkeley Square.
Yeah, I remember we all came with you because we were all supporting you, man.
Yeah, we rented. I think we rented a minivan, and oh god, and I had that ugly ass generic Skaka poster board thing that the guy at Tower Records made me when because I was still working there.
Hmm.
Um, but god damn, yeah. And you said, why the hell do we have this thing? And I think we tossed it that trip or something.
Yeah, no, those are good times, bro, because I those are the times where you were. I mean, I could feel it. We're all doing it because we loved it.
Hmm.
We weren't doing it because, like, oh, let's see who's gonna like us on Instagram, because that
Hmm.
didn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah, it was all
We
promotion.
did it 'cause we loved it, and we didn't take pictures from everything we did. We just like, dude, let's do this.
Yeah, it was all in the moment. Yeah, exactly.
That's
God,
funny.
those were some good times, man. I know Jose had a question about your DJ stint that you've got going on right now.
Which one?
Yeah.
Who?
So
Go
now,
ahead.
yeah, I was just wondering. Yeah, yeah, you're into DJing now, right?
Oh, well, the DJ thing. Here's how the DJ thing came in. All right.
Uh-huh.
Um, Around 2004, I needed a break from everything. Um, how can I was like, I was overwhelmed, and at the same time, I was like, I guess I was like low key depressed about a
Mm.
lot of stuff, and just things were not working out the way, I just needed a break from everything. So I took a break. And I didn't give myself a time like I'll be back. Well, no, I'm like, I'll take a break till whenever.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I remember thinking, this game is a little rough, because if you don't bring in people, you don't make money, and that's tough. So
Yeah.
I thought to myself, you know what? If I don't want to do this anymore, I'll just do this. If someone's offering me money just to book shows, I'll do it, and that'll be fine. I'm not gonna worry about who comes in through the door, etc. Otherwise, I'm just gonna lay low and chill and relax and not worry, and just kind of like, self-care is what they call it, right? But I was just
Right.
like, dude,
Yeah.
just avoid the stress.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that happened to 2008, until a buddy of mine hit me up. He's like, hey, listen, man, there's this club, and they're willing to pay cash money. They just want a DJ and or a band and free beer all night. I'm like, really?
Oh, there you go.
Exactly. So like, cool.
Yeah.
So I started booking bands, and me and Donald, we started DJing together again, DJing, and then just having a good time. It was every Friday night or every Saturday night. I don't know, but we called it Club Fire, and it was a reggae night. It was a reggae night, and I loved it because it was all reggae and dancehall. It was all just fucking reggae. It was all good, and that went on for a good time until, I don't know, yeah, from then on, the thing about that place was I was bringing a lot of bands I was working with. I was working with from before. Deliriums played there. Members of Yeska, a lot of different bands, right? Where these guys didn't know the bar didn't know what hit them. So then after that, um, Malik, I think Malik from the Irie Beats, because they also played there. He said, "Hey, listen, my friend over here at the in Chinatown, they're looking for, if you want to do a night." So I went to talk to Tony at the Grand Star, and then he gave me a night, and it was called Intensified, and it was on Sundays. And yeah, we started doing a reggae night there with bands and DJs with Jason Lawless, rest in peace. And it was good. It was good for a while, but then during that time, there was a lot of other a lot of other reggae clubs happening. That I'm like, but there's like saturation of these clubs. So then I'm like, I talked to Tony, the owner, and I'm like, listen, no, actually, he said, if you want, I could give you a Saturday, the second Saturday. I'm like, I'll take it, but I'm gonna change it. It's gonna be a Latin club. And then we that's when I started Barrio Funky, and that was like around 2009. Barrio Funky. And yeah, that's when Very Be Careful, Quita Penas, Chicano Batman, Palenque Soul Tribe. Everybody, all those Latin bands started playing there, and it just became a thing. That place became a thing, and we were there for like 8 years, 9 years. And yeah, and during that time, yeah, the Commons. It was funny because during that time, um, the good bands that I saw, I'm like, hey man, oh, Spaghetti Cumbia, Betty's Mustache, all those guys. Hey man, let's go record a record. You're good enough. And then that's why that's kind of how that happened. Yeah,
Nice.
I found my talent.
Cool, cool. Now I saw also on the website you have a slogan, El Sonido del Barrio, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So I was
because
checking out your website.
my friend's record shop was Sonido del Valle, right? And
Uh-huh.
now I was playing on that, so I'm like, hey, Sonido del Barrio, because it is, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
El
I can.
Barrio. Yeah.
I also like to think that I have the largest at the record shop, the largest Latin selection in
I
all
was
of
gonna
LA.
say, I saw that you had Selena records sold out. You had La Banda Machos. I was like,
Hey,
what?
I have a whole band
Yeah.
of my section.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
the
stuff that you know.
Machos.
Yeah, it's because I have a lot of DJ friends in Mexico
Uh,
and diggers in Mexico that they always like, hey, listen, we got this. You want to buy this? Great, I'll take it all. And for them, boom. But for me, I get it. And like, look, you're getting stuff that you're never gonna see in LA. This is only
yeah.
stuff you'll see if you go to Mexico, but it's here. And yeah, people kind of actually, you know what? I gotta emphasize that. People don't get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's good stuff, right? The cumbia, norteña stuff. Yeah, I like that selection. Gotta check it
Yeah,
out.
it's Solid Sounds in Mexico that carries a lot of your stuff, right? Distributes a lot of your stuff down there.
What?
No, Solid
Solid
Sounds.
Sound? I don't know. No, what are they called? They're Cayenne Records. No, I think no. Yeah, solid. Yeah, there's a couple of distributors out there.
Mhm.
There's a couple of distributors that carry the Steady Beat stuff. Yeah.
So besides the DJing thing, you back in the '90s had Rough and Tough, Rude Wednesdays,
Yeah.
Club Ska.
Remind me of stuff.
You had like a show with bands like almost every night of the week,
No,
years.
no, no. That was every
Years.
Friday. And Rough and Tough happened because that was at Leonardo's downstairs in a vault, in a bank vault. And that happened because um I was booking a lot of bands. And then one time, this is a true story. True story. I was doing shows at the Hong Kong Cafe, and one night some guy walks in, and then they tell me, "Hey, this guy wants to talk to the promoter." And I come up and I go, "What's up?" He goes, "Hey, my name is Victor. I'm from New York. I'm in a band called the Slackers." I'm like, "Oh, man, really? Oh, cool. Whatever." And then he starts telling me, I'm like, "Hey, man, no problem, bro. Ska band, cool. Come on in, hang a good time, whatever. I'll let you in with the one condition. that when your band comes to LA, I book you first. He's like, no problem. And then he came in, he had a good time. He met up people, everybody was good. So guess what?
Uh,
When they were coming to LA, they called me. Like, we're coming to LA. I'm like, oh yeah, man, this guy's straight up, man. He's a stand-up guy. He was real. So then I'm like, I have a so then I was doing shows in LA, but at the same time I was doing shows at this place called Jillian's in downtown Long Beach. Very Art Deco place, very nice place. Jumpa Joey had played there before, and I had done that show. It was good.
uh,
So then, like, perfect next show would be the Slackers, banging show. So I booked them there, and everything was good. A week before that show, the club calls me and they say, "Hey, listen, um, your show's canceled because the club got sold, and we don't know what's going to happen." I'm like, "Oh, damn it." So I remember the next day I went downtown Long Beach and I walked up and down Long Beach Boulevard. No, Pine Avenue, because that's where the Jillians were at. I walked up and down looking for different clubs to see which club would book. I mean, which club would work. And then
mm,
I finally found Leonardo's. And I walked in there, I talked to them, and the guy asked me, "Hey, well, how many people do you expect?" I'm like, "About 150. He was, "For real?" I'm like, "Yeah, for real." He didn't believe me. He thought, I don't know, he didn't believe me. So I
uh,
said, "Yeah, about 150 people will be here for sure." He's like, "Okay, you know what? I'll let you have the place for free. I just need $150 for security and something else, another $50 for something else. I don't know what it was." I said, "Okay, good." I also had to bring my whole sound system in. I'm like, "That's fine." I hired John, and he came in with the sound system. It was cool. He's a good guy. Um, and then we had the Slackers played there, right? And then this
uh,
guy, the promoter, was so surprised that so many people showed up that night he's like, "Hey man, can you do this every week?" I said, "No, I can't do this every week." And he's like, and then I'm like, "I'll talk to you later, bro." And I did. I went back to my show. And then later that night, he hit me up again. "Hey, listen, this is a nice crowd. They're drinking. They're drinking. You can't do this every week." I said, "Listen, the only way I could do this every week if I don't have to pay rent and you don't charge me for security, and all I have to worry about is like paying the bands out of the door." He's like, "Okay, we can do that." I'm like, "Oh, really? All right, cool." So then, I went back, and then we went back and forth, and then that's how Club Rough and Tough happened.
nice, nice.
And that's how that went on for every week for a year and a half. And bro, it was good, but there were some times where I'd be at home, lying in my bed Friday at 6:30 in the evening, looking up at the ceiling, thinking, "I just wish I could just knock out right now and not worry about a show tonight."
Mm.
Because it was every week, and it was three bands and DJs. That's a big production every week.
Mhm.
That's how, but it was
Well,
fun.
you kept the scene going for a long time with that,
Well, yeah, now
with all those
the thing
different.
was that no matter what, I kept going because it's your drive, the drive for the love of the music. Music is life, man. If you don't have music, there's no life. There's just living, and that ain't right.
Mhm.
Exactly. Now, you and I have collaborated on a few shows back in the 90s. One of them being this one.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Was that the one that was canceled or the second
No,
one?
no, no, but we'll get there. We'll get there. No, this was that big one.
That was a good
This
one.
this is a really good one. Yeah, we sold this one out too. And that place, Tarasa Hamay,
Gas, gas, gas.
yeah, that place was great. It had that one smaller room, and then it had that large ballroom.
It
So when
was
one band
a
played, the other,
300 people room and a 600 or 700 people room,
yeah,
which
yeah.
was good. It's perfect.
Besides that one, we also collaborated on this one back at the Alligator Lounge.
Yeah, Alligator Lounge is with Debbie out there.
Oh yeah, Deb and I forgot her husband's name.
Yeah, me too.
This is the one right here, Skazuka 2, that we did that we had to
I
shut
saw
down.
that flyer just yesterday or today. Someone posted it. I'm like, wow, that's the one.
And this is
That,
the one where you told me I had to
that's
go
the
on
one.
stage and tell everyone that the show was canceled.
We're look,
And
you got
I've never been so cussed out of my life.
we were we were in the box office, and the fire marshal cops came in, And he asked me, "Hey, do you have a permit for tonight?" I said, "Permit? No, we've been doing this a few times already."
Mhm.
He's like, "No, but you're the promoter." I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "The promoter needs a permit." I said, "The club has a permit." Like, "No, you can't use the club permit." I'm like, "What?" But we've been using the club permit
Right.
for a dance, right? And he's like, "No, the promoter needs their own permit." I'm like, and at that point, I thought, did the club owner sell me out? Or what is happening here? Why is this show canceled? Why are they telling me? Because to me, I was like, how can you tell me after all this work that
Mhm.
we've
Why
done to
now?
put the show together to tell me to print out that we can't have this show?
When it's everyone's already attended, that we have hundreds of
Yeah,
people
and there
there.
was a line out there, and there was already people in there,
Yeah.
and he was like, and he were like, and I was like, what? And you were there in the box office with me. And then after he says, if not, we're just gonna confiscate the sound system, everything. I'm like, oh, huh, we can't have that because that sound system was rented by me.
Uh-huh.
So I said, oh no. And he's like, yeah, you can't have this unless you can show that you have a permit for this. And I did it because, uh, you know, basically they pulled the rug from under my feet, right? Along with the owner of the place, right?
Mhm.
Because he knew, and he didn't stick up for me, or he didn't stick out his neck for me to say, hey, he's under me. He's like, nah, he's just rented that shit out. And I was fucked up. So anyways,
Mhm.
so that night, that's when that when they walked away, that's when I turned to you. I said, listen, you got to tell everybody that the show's canceled, and they could come back here and get a refund, or they could just go home. And you were looking at me all perplexed, like, what are you talking about? This is not really happening. I said, listen, if you this is one of the things that you got to learn as a promoter. Sometimes the show gets canceled, and you got to be the guy to tell people that the show is canceled. So you're that guy tonight.
Well, I wasn't just the guy to tell them it was canceled. I was the guy to give everybody fucking their $10 back when they were
Yeah, you're
leaving.
that guy. Hey, you learned the
Right
hard
out the
way, man. I
door.
don't know why you
Everybody,
get
even
mad at
people
me.
on the
You
guest
teach me
list.
a good lesson, bro. Damn, bro.
And then I had to deal with some of the bands, like Vince from Real Big Fish's manager, which of course still wanted their money for showing up. So we lost
Yeah.
our asses that night, but we actually came back and redid it, a Skazuka 2.5,
Yes,
and made that one pretty successful.
we redeemed ourselves. People realize, oh,
We redeemed it.
because I
Exactly.
mean, yeah, it was all just BS by the city. They just, and I get it because, I was doing shows at the Raza Hamai every other weekend, and I was bringing a lot of people there to the
Hmm.
point where a lot of people were parking 2 blocks away, a block and a half, 3 blocks away. And when they went to their cars, they would cause a little bit of havoc in the neighborhood, to the point with the neighborhood people started calling the cops, say, listen, this place is causing us problems. And
Oh,
that's basically what happened. I don't blame them. I just wish they would have called me first.
right,
So I told
right.
them, guys, don't cause a problem on your way to your car.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
We also both booked at one of the same venues, Dizzy Debbie's. I think we had some collaborate or some things together where we shared some of the nights with the Skankathon. You did Dynamic
Was that a
Pressure,
good
that
show?
skinhead reggae band.
Was it a good show?
Yeah, they were all. Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
I was
this was
probably
the one.
involved. If it
This was the
wasn't,
one where
then
the
I don't have
skinheads
nothing to do
broke.
with it.
That's when they broke the sink. Remember that?
Oh, bro, I got sued for that. You know that, right? I got sued for that, man. I went to court and I hated it because I'd never been sued. And I went to court and yeah, I ended up paying like $1,800 for that, man. And when you're like 29, 28 years old,
Hmm.
$1,800 in 1990 is a lot of damn money, bro.
Hmm.
That's like three $3,500 right now, uh, to just come out of like nowhere. That was bad. Yeah, and I understand. Hey, listen, um, it just comes with the territory, you know. We were booking like some reggae bands that brought in some elements. But the thing about it that I'm not mad about it because I've been doing that since the beginning. I've always understood that the crowds always were coloring outside the lines. Always. That's why our crowds are so colorful. And I understand that shit, man. I get it. Hey, you gotta, if you're gonna roll with the punches, keep rolling. You just
All
can't
right.
say, oh, you know what, the punches got hard. Nah, man, just keep going.
So you're a guy that has you're a guy that has his fingers pretty much in everything. Besides just the record label, you like touring with the bands. So I believe what I know who you toured with, but tell us who you've toured with, when and where you've toured.
Well, I was Allenton's tour manager for like 2.5 weeks, cross country.
Mhm.
That was enough. That was enough for me. Like, oh, that's okay. And the other time I remember I was touring was with you, and I was telling this story to somebody else that they asked me a question. I was at the shop, and they said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Ozomatli?"
Oh God.
I said, "Oh, it's funny you asked, buddy." I said, "See this poster right here? This is Ozomatli's first time playing outside of the United States. I would say this is their first international tour." He's like, "Why?" It's like, "Because they played in Ensenada." Really? And yeah, and then I explained to him, they actually played in San Francisco and Sacramento the 2 nights prior, with my friend Daryl. And he was their tour manager because I couldn't go because I was dealing with the intensified West Coast Ska Festival.
The one where you had with the whiskey and the Roxy simultaneously with
18
bands.
bands. Yeah, and it was weird because I wouldn't have booked that tour if I knew this was going to happen because I needed your help at that show, bro. It was insane. Come on, man.
That was a nightmare weekend.
Two clubs, 18 band, I mean 9 bands each club. I was going announcing each band as I'm like, it was insane. I couldn't do it. It was anyways, and thinking, oh, you're out there with Yeska, because people kept asking me, where's Yeska? They should be here. Oh, they're on tour with Ozamali up in Sacramento and whatever. And then you were calling me panicking. Hey, these guys stealing pillows. Hey, the hotel won't let us
No,
leave.
no, no,
Hey, I'm
no,
like, what
no.
the hell is going
It
on,
was
bro?
it was the first night at the Cocodrie in San Francisco where Ozomatli did not want to get off stage. They, of course, they're not going to listen to me, and so they shut off the PA system and they went outside in the street and played.
That's a party, bro.
That was that was
Oh,
my
I
first
remember you
taste of
calling me,
Ozomatli.
telling me, I'm like, stop crying, bro. It's a party.
And
But
then
then
yeah,
probably the next time it
then
was
a couple of the
serious when
guys
you
were
called me
stealing
about
pillows from the
pillows.
hotel. The next day after Sacramento, I think it was. Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to be at your show at the West Coast Ska Fest, but intensified. But
But
it is
yeah,
what at
so
least you took him to Mexico.
yeah, I remember you guys drove all the way down, picked me up in Pedro, and then we drove to Ensenada.
Yeah, I stayed behind. I definitely didn't want to go any longer with that mini tour thing.
Oh, that's
Um,
right. You didn't go, huh? You stayed in Pedro, huh?
I did. I did. I
That was
had
it.
enough of the bands, unfortunately. Not to knock the bands if they're listening, because I love them. They're great guys. It was just it wasn't my thing.
Yeah, you
Another
wanted to cry
question.
alone. You wanted to cry with no one seeing you.
Yeah, I'm still crying inside.
I got another question. About Supernova. Are you thinking of going out there and setting up a shop or a little booth there?
When is that? When is Supernova?
It's coming up. This what is it? September.
It's
I
every
want to say
September.
September.
September
You
every
know
year in
what?
Virginia.
You know what? I think I am. I'm gonna call those guys. Hey man, I'm gonna go set up a booth. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
YOLO, bro, YOLO.
yeah. There you go.
Or you could just send all your stuff with Jose and he'll sit there.
Who? Oh,
Jose,
this guy. Oh
this
man. Hey,
guy.
girl, you down to go or what?
I already
Well,
got
I can't.
tickets. We got yeah.
He can go. I can't go. I only went once, but it
Why
lands on my
can't you
son's
go?
birthday every year now
Why can't you go?
because it lands on my son's birthday, and my mom used to leave on my birthday when I was growing up, so I don't like birthdays
Keep it
anymore.
going, bro. Keep it going.
It's quite an expense. Um,
Yeah, I think I might do it. I think I might go. Just to
Yeah.
vibe. You gotta, man. It's steady beat, man. I've been around forever.
yes, you have.
Well, if you need help out there, I'll help you out, bro.
You be there?
Yeah, I'm going to be there. Yeah.
You all right? Hey, don't lie, bro.
I,
I'm
I,
telling you that you're gonna
He
be
keeps
there,
his word.
and then you be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna hang out with my boys. I'm like, bro, can't canceled. Only canceled. Yeah,
um,
you know what? That'd be nice. Who's playing?
I'm not sure
um,
yet. I haven't seen the list.
oh, you're uh, what is a couple of those bands from Los Fastidios or something? A couple bands, some bands from oh, Lollipop Lori is playing from Russia.
How about
Uh,
is you know
Los
what?
Fastidios or something? I don't know.
Well, Mobtown. Mobtown playing?
Mobtown is not playing yet.
Allenton's?
Allentons are
We
not
should get
playing
some
yet
West
because
Coast representation out there.
they got to pitch it to Tim and April over there.
Maybe Los Agrios.
Possibility.
Matamosca, maybe.
Have they did they
I
play
think
like
they
last
played
year?
already. They played there already.
Oh, did they? Oh,
They played a few years back when they had a different stage setup.
mm.
So
Stallions, maybe Stallions.
so we want to touch on a big subject also, a steady beat movie. Tell us about how this came about. What will this movie be about? And do we have any time frame on when to expect this to be released?
Okay, here's what I know. Here's how it came about. It came about because I remember um watching a documentary on ska, right? And I looked down like, dude, I mean, there's a lot of stuff they're missing because I'm from LA and they're talking about a lot of Orange County stuff, right? I'm
Mhm.
like, I mean, everyone has a different perspective. We all understand that, and everyone tells a story from how they look at it, right? And then it was during Jason Lawless's tribute show in Long Beach, where I found myself surrounded with a lot of familiar faces, a lot of friends that I hadn't seen in a while. And, it's just kind of like sad to get together for that reason. I wish there was other reasons, but it is what it is, right? And I was talking to Kat because I know her and her guy, they had a production company. And we just was talking about things, and then I asked her if she had seen this documentary. And I don't remember what she was saying, like, yeah, no, whatever. I'm like, well, I didn't think they represented well. And I said, you're a you're a movie maker. You do things with, your production company. You should, you know, make a story about LA ska. And somehow or another, I guess it became about me, right? Maybe I said about me. No, I don't think I even said about. And then it became about why don't it just becomes about steady beat? I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be. Steady beat was not what was everything in ska, and that's why it was like steady beat and everything else happening in the 90s. So, anyways, that's how the story. I mean, that's how it started. It was like an idea, and then a couple weeks later, a week later, she called me. We started talking. I'm like, yeah, I was serious about it. Um, here's people we can interview, and that's kind of how it started in earnest, and then she got together with a production company and they got everything rolling, and then that's how that happened. Now, from what I understand, they still need like maybe a couple interviews to go, but they have maybe 90% of the footage done, and it's about editing right now at the point. Right now they're editing and trying to put the story together, and and that's all I know.
Yeah,
But
it's
in the
definitely
end, I
gonna
hope I mean, it kind
well,
of,
it's gonna chronicle that whole time, that whole
yeah,
time period that you were
they
involved
talk to key people that tell you key moments in the LA ska vibe from the 90s. Simple as that, you know what I mean? And that's basically all I want to do because there was, I mean, if you're in the LA ska scene in the 90s, it's special. It's unlike any other ska scene anywhere in the world, right? Everyone has their vibe. And when you look at that, you realize there were so many bands feeding into that scene. It was not two or three or four. There was like eight or nine local bands that were playing continuously. And when you have that, you have a scene.
Mhm.
It's not like two or three guys, just, you know, two or three bands. It's like eight, nine bands, seriously. Um, everywhere to the point where you have bands from other parts of the state wanted to come down to LA to play with all the bands because they know
Mhm.
that it's something's happening there. And yeah, it is a scene. And there's
And that's
nowhere to
kind of how the California Skaquake thing came about with you and Moon and Rob and Steve over there.
Well, yeah, well, they reached out to me because at the time I was doing all kinds of ska shows all over LA. It was crazy. So they reached out and they listen. We know that, and I think that was just when had done Ska Authentic, and I had did something else. There was another comp that I worked with, Ready Set Go, Ready whatever, that one. So Moon reached out and said, "Hey, I guess this is the right guy to put together the next comp for us." And yeah, I did it. I got all the bands, and you know I was conscious of it. I didn't just pick the bands that I was booking because I understood California is, and again, the 8 and 9 bands I was talking about are just like the traditional ska bands. I'm not even
Mhm.
getting the pop ska, the third generation ska, the pump ska, you know, like bands that you were working with all the time, like Aquabats, Real Big Fish, Pocket Lint, you know, Lone Raspberry. That's the Hippos. That's another world out there, right?
Mhm.
But yet I incorporated all that into California Skyway because I wanted it to be representative of what California was
Mhm.
at the time.
That was great artwork on that too. I think you contributed or you did the artwork, right, on it?
No, actually, I told the art with Piero, I told him, I said, listen, this is my idea. Is like, you know, every city that where the bands are from is a center point, is like a point where earthquake happens. And that's how
Seismic
it
event.
starts. So that when you open it, like, oh, there's like earthquakes over here. No, those are the cities where all these bands are from.
Hmm.
And
That's
that's
pretty
the
cool.
concept I gave him, and then he ran with it. And it looked good. Yeah, I like the fold out and everything. It was good.
I think the other comp that you're talking about just before that was it this one that we did?
Yeah.
It was
Alex is
John.
on
It
there.
was
ESCO's on there.
Yeah. It was John Halperin from Vegas Records and now from
That's
Staples
right.
Recordings.
It was like 3.99, right?
It was a buck 99.
Oh,
And
damn.
he helped to get our stuff out there, which was great. We were just talking about this with Red Session, actually. Um,
Yeah, man. It was like guys like that, man, who came in and did some stuff and just like, hey, man, it's boom. Yeah.
mhm.
Because that's one of the few comps that has Yeska and the Ellingtons. Because I was kind of exclusive. I'm like, nah, I don't need to put it on everywhere. It's just like, here. So yeah, but he was a real guy.
Yeah, that was great. That comp was pretty much everywhere. A lot of people got to know some of the bands from that, which was awesome. So at your record store, you have bands play there because I've been there, of course, and I've seen Melting Pot play there. What other bands have you had at the record store? I know you've only had Alex Santos for the new one, but the last spot that you were
At
at
the old
7
record shop, I had Joe JQ and the Sinceres. I had him. I had let's see, Alex Santos. I've had you know, Cara Borracho. They've played there a few times. A lot of mostly local bands because um my whole point is like, you know, this shop is local. I want to have local bands so their friends come and check them out. So yeah, I was doing that like the last Sunday of every month for a couple years, and that was basically like PR. But the last few, you know, the last maybe 5 6 months, I was just like not really doing much of that because I was trying to move. I was trying to
Yeah.
move. But
Are
now that
you
I've moved,
at the
I'm not gonna be doing that every last Sunday of the month because in downtown they have this art walk that happens on the first Thursday, and that's when everyone comes out. So the time they're going to have bands are the first Thursday there, and the next one I'm going to have is March. First Thursday in March is going to be the Stadians. They've
nice?
already confirmed they're going to be playing, And yeah, it's gonna be a good time. So if you guys want to watch the Steadians for free, plus DJs, it's gonna be I don't know, the first Thursday in March. So
Nice.
And recently, you had the San Pedro Chamber of Commerce come there and did the ribbon cutting with you of your new location. That
yeah, they did a
pretty
grand
neat.
opening. We did a grand opening. Yeah, the first Thursday. It was like the first Thursday. It was cool. Yeah, a lot of people came out. A lot of it was nice. It was a lot of you don't realize who your neighbors are until they come out, and there was a lot of cool neighbors.
Yeah, I saw that you have a lot of you have a good area there now. Looks like you've got a little spot in the front where you're able to have some bands.
Oh yeah, right in the front we had a little corner right there where Alex Santos Orchestra was busting their move. Because I think that's all they know how to do is bust moves.
Jose, did you have a question?
No, actually, I think no, I don't. I think that was it.
Oh,
So, Luis, what's the latest with you? What should we look out for besides the Steady Beat movie? Any other
well, here's,
releases?
here's what I plan to do this year. And this is what I want to do this year. And I mean, it's like I'm so close to finishing some projects, but you know, there's just like so many. It just seems like the closer you get to finishing, the more, how can I say, the more complicated it gets, you know. So right now, what I'm trying to get done is I'm working on finishing to try to get all the contractual obligations done for a Scothentic vinyl release, which would be a double LP for Scothentic. Hopefully this year sometime. That's one thing I'm working on. Um, the other thing I'm working on is a children's book about records. Um, so that's one, and then the rest, the other stuff is basically a couple other more singles this year, and just trying to get the shop going, and you know getting it to where I mean I'll probably never get the shop to like, oh yeah, now it's done. No, it's never going to be done. But just at a comfortable point where I'm stocked with a lot of good stuff for people.
So, did want to ask you about Mata Mosca. Are they going to come out with any new stuff?
Oh, they always have stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just a matter of like
Hmm.
having the funds and the time to put the records out. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they have some stuff already ready to go. I don't know if they've already released an album. I think they have. Yeah, I think they do have an album on, I believe. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
not this year or last year.
Is it okay?
I think, but if it's not out, it should be coming out soon.
All right.
Well, is there anything that you wanted to let anybody know that's listening here? Anything about you? Anything you want to get off your chest? Anything that you want to say?
Oh yeah, yeah, man. I want to say that I don't know. I just want to say that music and life. Do what you guys got to do. And you know what? Thanks for listening. Thanks for paying attention. And I don't know. Support local.
Definitely. Well, I owe you a lot, and I'm very appreciative towards you. You showed me a lot in the early years of, developing what I turned out to be the love of my life, doing things with music and bands. So I owe you a lot to do that, and I'm proud to know you, to be a buddy of yours, and to collaborate with you on what we got going on in the future and in what we had in the past.
Well, thank you, Daryl, man. Those are some kind words. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of
And
course.
you know what? I feel the same way, man. I really thank you for everything you've done. Because while you were working at Tower, you really opened up a good distribution channel for me and all my new releases that I probably wouldn't have had otherwise. And that was pivotal.
Yeah, we had a lot of good distribution then. It was great for a few years when the scene was prominent there
Yeah.
after
Until
Sublime
it
when
all
No
got
Doubt
sent
blew
back
things
to
open.
me saying, hey, all these shops have closed, so now you owe us money. I'm like, what?
Exactly. Well, we appreciate the time you took out to speak with us. We hope to see a lot of great things from Steady Beat coming up. I know because you've always done great things, and we look forward to that. Um, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and just want to say goodbye.
All right, Daryl. All right, Jose, thank you very much for your time and
You.
thanks for the opportunity of talking to me.
All right, you take care.
Peace out, guys. I'll
Peace.
talk to you guys
Bye
soon.
now.
See ya.